Hi everyone, welcome to this reading. So if you're new to my channel, my readings are a little different. If you're returning, welcome back. You know how we do. If it doesn't resonate with you, if you're forcing the story to fit or arguing with it in any way, just leave it behind for the people who it's meant for. I am going to be using my crystal ball to scry extra information throughout this message. I'll probably add some cards on top of it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this message. So some of you're familiar with my messages. You know that sometimes I write things out. Sometimes that happens from a meditation state. Sometimes it's actually coming from a dream that I had the night before. I practiced dream incubation. If you're not familiar with dream incubation, it's where you set the intention for your dream space. So what I did last night was I basically sat in bed for a little while and programmed my subconscious that it's going to tap into a collective message. So one of the things that came through in that collective message was a white wolf. And it felt very much like this is what was communicating to me. It was a spirit of a white wolf, and it was in the middle of a dark forest, and there was a black pond in between us, and there were vapors rising off this pond. And it was almost like this wolf sent the vapors across this pond. It was kind of epic, not gonna lie. And I breathed in these vapors and I got information. And so that's where some of this information is coming from. Again, we will be pulling more cards. I am already tuned in. I have the crystal ball. We got everything going on here. So we're gonna get all the information about this that we possibly can. The interesting thing about this is that if you watched the Lilith message the other day, you will remember that that channeling happened once I realized that Lilith was trying to speak to me in the image of a painting that I had once done. And this seems to be a theme this week. If you've watched me for any length of time, you know that my readings run in themes. Last week was Urban Crow Oracle. This week, apparently, it's going to be old paintings. And this is actually the image that was in my dream, and I hadn't even realized it. So this print, just for fun, I will have a couple of these on the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description box. So, okay, let's go ahead. So this message seems to be for some people that are feeling called to lead or teach in some way. And that's because you are. That's because you are. You have been a leader or a teacher before, in some capacity at least. And this is just your natural soul signature. Right now, you may be unsure on how to do this, right? Or if you're already doing it to some capacity, you might be feeling a little unsure of how to do it next, like what next step you should take. And the message that's kind of coming through is that stepping into the role of the teacher or the leader isn't necessarily meant to be a one and done deal, right? And that's kind of what I got inside the dream space as this vapor came in. It was like there's somebody out there that's called to lead or teach, but you're holding yourself back just because you feel like you don't know where to start or where to go or what it is supposed to be. And they kind of want you to know that you're not looking for your life partner in terms of a path, right? What you're looking for is to start getting out there and start allowing yourself to step into the role of teacher or leader. It doesn't have to necessarily be so serious as though you have to pick the right thing now, right? That's basically the message. Okay. I am being told to give some... Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and read these, and then I'm being told to give some symbols. So when we have this, we have the undressing of a salad. That's where somebody's overanalyzing, right? They might be breaking things apart, looking at all the parts. Analysis paralysis, essentially, is something that's happening here for somebody, whichever way you want to look at this. Okay, the rar, right? That's that chaos energy that's causing us to be ungrounded, and so we're unfocused and we don't have a direction. So just like the message just said, it's just confirmation. I guess that's what I'm doing with the cards. Who knows? I don't ask questions, I just do it. So the symbolism is a seal. I don't know in what context. I think it's an animal. I think it's the animal seal. There's these two bells. It's like the stereotypical old school wedding bells with the two bells and the ribbon. And then there's a Rubik's cube. There's a zodiac dice. Net hairspray. I don't even know if do they even make that anymore? I don't know. Someone's got a can of net hairspray running loose out in the wild. And then there's a purple heart, a ring that actually has a seal on it. Oh, so another seal. There we go. And then what is this? This is like a vintage locket. It's a vintage locket. And I mean vintage, it's not from the 80s, you know what I mean? It's legit vintage. Okay. Okay, so there's an energy coming through that you're simply being urged to just start walking the path. So in other words, just pick something. You need the experience of being a leader or a teacher to get where it is that you are going. And one of the things that you're going to find as you get to this place where you're going, as you start to do these things, it's going to propel your healing journey. We even have Tobira of the Waters showing up, kind of supporting that idea, right? Tobira of the Waters, she's about healing. That's what this card is about inside of the book. She's looking at this beautiful water and recognizing how clear it is, because she's made it clear. She's transmuted it. And there's something about the process of this teaching where that clarity and that strength of clarity is going to be vital later on. And so you have to get started on this path now. You have to let this path refine you so that by the time you reach this goal that it almost feels like your soul has, you will have people that are kind of craving this sort of healing energy that you're bringing to the table. And it doesn't mean that this is necessarily for people that just are called to heal, right? Again, it feels like a leader. One experience that it feels very much is trying to be highlighted here, and it's always the thing that people miss. I notice when I get readings, a lot of people will ask, I feel like I'm called to lead. What am I supposed to do? A leader chooses, right? A leader doesn't necessarily need something else or someone else to tell them exactly what direction to take. That's what makes a person a leader. And so the first step of becoming a leader is learning how to exercise your own choice. For some of you, this is going to be very new. We have the Maiden. This is where we start a new path. This is where we exercise a new skill, in this case, choice, to be able to step onto that new path, and where we allow it to grow and where we allow it to flourish. A leader doesn't necessarily need the answers or the specifics handed to them, right? They get very comfortable in working in spaces where there often wasn't a sort of flashlight being shown in terms of a direction, or where they don't necessarily know how it's going to turn out. They get comfortable in those spaces. And so if you feel that you're being called to lead or teach, this is a really good first exercise, is to just put yourself on that path. Again, it doesn't have to be this huge serious thing where you have to pick the right thing now. The right thing will come a little ways down the road. I'm going to be honest, this is a road that's a little longer than most of them that come into my readings. And it's something that requires a lot of care, a lot of nurturing. But again, the She of the Kruak, this is again that sort of emotional healing. It's that thing that we care for, that we tend. This role of the leader, whoever's being called to this, it is a role that needs to be curated and tended. It's something that we have to grow into to a certain capacity. There's certain things that are going to be learned along the way in this particular journey. And one of them, again, is that power of choice, the ability to make these snap-second decisions and these choices that are uncomfortable choices. They're choices that require us to take responsibility for ourselves and oftentimes responsibility for other people. And we can't take that responsibility for asking someone else, what do I do here, right? What do I do here? What do I do next? That doesn't mean that we don't necessarily have some people that are advising us or that are, brainstorming with us, but we certainly aren't just waiting around for something to drop in our lap. Basically, you have to gain the experience of, it starts like, it feels like starting and restarting, of failure and success, of various kinds of people, various kinds of wounds. And one of the things that will happen is that this will widen your wisdom and deepen your understanding so that you won't just be a leader. Okay, I'm going to get to the point of this whole thing of what I was given in this dream. We have the spirit dancer coming up here, and this spirit dancer she's not even looking where she's going, right? It's just like what we just talked about. She doesn't have help in flying. She's flying solo, and her head is pointed down, and she knows that the wind is carrying her, and it's going to carry her where she needs to go. There's a certain measure of faith and trust that is involved in this process for whoever this message is for. And here's the thing. The reason why you are being called to lead is because once you go through these experiences, these valuable experiences of all these different types of people, of understanding them, of understanding the walk of life they have, of having your own success, your own failure, of having to pick yourself up and restart, and you learning that sort of integrity, that sort of patience, that sort of strength, right? Because someone who's not strong is going to give up. Oh, I failed twice, I'm going to give up, right? Somebody who's strong is going to keep going and say, no, I know this is what I'm supposed to do. This just wasn't the right way, or I'm being redirected. Someone has to cultivate that ability, because you're going to become one of those rare leaders that will shift humanity to a different timeline. Right now, this is sort of the timeline that humanity is in, right? This soul shrinker energy, bitterness, pettiness, this sort of, if you read the message about the soul shrinker and Dominus Gloom are the two cards that really represent that sort of victimized energy. The Gloomist Doom is a little bit more sad about it. The soul shrinker is just vapid, right? Just vicious. And this is the kind of energy that the human collective is inside of right now, right? Somebody doesn't agree with you. What do? You lash out, you label them things that aren't necessarily true just because you want to dehumanize them, or, somebody else has something that you want. So what do? You go over, you steal it, or you talk shit about them because you're jealous. Like, this is the kind of energy that really runs inside of the human collective. But what this message is saying is that you're part of those leaders that have been, are, and will be trying to shift humanity to a different timeline, and will be successful. This is important, right? Because one of the things when we have messages like this is it tells us that we're in for the long game. And unfortunately, a lot of times we're not really settled in for the long game. We want things to be really quick. We want it to happen now. And as I always say on this channel, that's a really cheap form of spirituality. This is not evolution, and it's not growth. Growth takes time, right? Growth doesn't happen in a day. Growth happens in its season. Growth happens over the course of years. Growth happens sometimes over the course of lifetimes. But this lifetime, someone is being called to lead for this particular reason, to move us out of this energy. And the energy that we're moving into, of course, right, this is how it would happen, is kind of unknown. And that's the whole point. It's choosing to be on a path, even if you don't necessarily know where that path is leading, just understanding that it's something that your soul is guiding you to do and telling you to do. Okay, I'm being told to pull tarot now. Okay, just heard past, present, and future. I'm going to tell you right now that future card is the Two of Swords, so I'm not even going to bother picking it up, because that's just like this, right? It means you're not looking here. So, Temperance. I don't know why I was... Oh, okay, so I was kind of guided to pull a future card. So what that means is that someone here, you may keep going to tarot readers trying to figure out what you're supposed to do. If you find that you consistently go to readers to find out what you're supposed to do, or to get like direction on where you're being led, right? And you don't receive an answer, it's kind of a guidance to stop. This is not the type of energy to be in, to actually step into the role of the leader. And so that's going to be the message for somebody. Here we have the Temperance card in the past, and the Temperance card here is about the balancing of emotions. In some ways, the Temperance card is also emotional reactivity. I talk about that a little bit inside my Major Arcana series. We have the Archangel Chamuel here, and Chamuel houses Samael. And Samael is kind of what we're looking at, a version of Samael, one of his brothers. It's kind of what we're looking at, the Devil card, which follows the Temperance card. And so someone here had to work on their connection to the outside world, possibly even opening up their heart in some way, or closing it up a little bit, right? So someone's had to work on some boundaries here. There's also this sort of light at the end of the tunnel that somebody can see. Some of you may not have that last energy happening. You might just feel like, yeah, I don't need a light at the end of the tunnel. But someone here is still kind of in the dark space of this journey and is seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. They're still in the midst of their healing journey. And this is in the past, but I do feel that this is an energy that's influencing the current moment. Here, what we have is, because we have done this balancing of the emotions, we did possibly get closer to the light at that end of the tunnel, or we possibly found it. We're trying to bring forward something emotional to the world, some sort of cup of healing, right? Maybe some sort of cup of, hey, I understand what should be happening here. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's work together, right? This is the Knights offer things, and the Knight of Cups is offering something from a very deep cup. This is somebody who has worked on their emotions. They understand emotions. They are yet to be the queen, though. They are yet to be the queen or the king. And so, again, whoever this message is for, there is some learning about trusting your own feelings, about trusting your own direction, about allowing that direction to lead you rather than hoping that something outside of you leads you. There is something here about sifting through those emotions more as you give energy back to people, and that as you see that they are healing, it helps heal you even more. Or as you see that you're benefiting humanity, that helps heal you more. It feels very much like somebody here lost their sense of belonging, or really never really saw the place that they have among the collective, maybe even don't understand their place in the universe, right? And so this has been a type of energy that someone here in this collective has had to heal. And this is why it's so difficult to just make the choice, because you never even understood that you belonged here, that you fit in any sort of way into the human story. And so now that we do understand that, and now that we do have our own sense of value, our own sense of stability and self-love, we are moving forward. But that is the one thing, right? That's almost the initiation point, is that we have to learn how to make that choice, to start writing that book, or to start teaching that class, putting a class together, or just getting a YouTube and start talking about your own experiences in your own life, or presenting whatever information it is that you have. Maybe, you're involved in science and cool little science experiments, and you could teach kids to broaden their minds to how fun science can be. Something that isn't really something that happens in school, I feel. Maybe you are somebody that, you are a therapist and you really want to start a new modality of therapy. There's something here about really starting something that's new, starting something that is uniquely you. But first, there's baby steps, right? There's little steps that we have to do to just start this journey, so that we get accustomed to leading, to teaching, to being in the lead, right? To being responsible. There is a measure of being in control of ourselves as well, in an underlying energy that's coming through in this. And so that's going to be very important for somebody who's learning how to control themselves. Okay. 3 cards. Gotta flip. You gotta flip. Okay. Oh, bottom 2. All right. Again, moon maidens. We have the maiden here. We have moon maidens there. So it's the new beginning. Heavy emphasis on emotions, right? Lots of cups, lots of water, lots of moon imagery. And then one of the things that we have here is the wailing tree, reconciliations. Again, they're telling me to go with this one first. So one of the things that we've had to do, especially with this Temperance card, is we've had to reconcile something within ourselves. When we look at this card, this is a woman in a tree. And I always see the tree as like our axis mundi. If you're not familiar with what that is, definitely look it up. It's very interesting. She's got her roots down here in the underworld. She's got her limbs up in the upper world. Someone here has had to learn about both aspects of themselves, and there was almost this tortured quality in their psyche or inside their emotions in the past, and this seems to be what we've been working on, what we've worked to heal, right? Someone here has done very deep shadow work in order to get to the place where they are right now, and that is what's drawing me to the number 5 and then the number 9. This has changed their place within humanity, or their understanding of it, right? Their perception of it. We have Magician's Sword, confidence in your magic. And that's this card right here. And this confidence inside of your magic, not only is this the sword of truth, so getting clear on who you are, your own willpower, being able to discern things for yourself, being able to point in your own direction, but it's also the magic that you contain inside of yourself, right? This direction to lead, this direction to teach, this soul signature about how to help humanity in a particular aspect. This is having confidence in that. Again, like I said, there's an element of trust that's coming through in this reading, either trusting the universe or trusting the self, whichever way you want to look at it. But it's this element of trust. We have the 3 and the 7. This is about trusting yourself when we have the 3 and 7, because that's the spiritual foundations. It's also faith in oneself with that number 7. This is leading us into meditation and stillness. This card right here. Some of you have spirits that are trying to work with you. This white wolf spirit is probably coming up for some people. Some of you have a spirit guide that maybe you haven't necessarily connected with. And this is kind of a guidance to go ahead and connect with your team. If you have always wanted to learn how to do that, definitely, look into some books about how to do that. I would definitely recommend learning how to do that now. And also I would learn to not use them as a crutch, right? Once we get into the habit of asking our guides, where should I go? What should I do? What should I do? We start confirming our own bias. I'm just going to say that because I have known a lot of psychics. I've known a lot of people who are on this path, and some people can ask their guides that and they can receive information and they can go about it and it goes well. A lot of people can't. A lot of people, once they hear things and 5 years later they're the people that tell me, wow, my spirit guides lied to me. And the question always becomes, did they lie to you, or was it that you weren't even supposed to ask those questions in the first place? You were expecting an answer and then you got an answer. This is how this stuff works. We have to understand what our personal responsibility is and what's everyone else's responsibility. Our guides are mostly here to support us. They're not necessarily here to dictate what we're supposed to be doing with our life. And so someone here, you may have disconnected with your guides because you were putting them in that role. And this is just kind of some advice of you may want to open that connection back up and allow them to support you as you make your decisions. You're the leader, right? You're the leader. You're the one in this earth walk living your life, not them. Nothing should get to dictate to you what you're doing unless it wants to come down on its own 2 feet and live this life and go through this shit, right? So this is somebody here establishing a really good connection with spirit, and understanding the roles, right? Understanding the role they play, understanding the role that spirit should play, and understanding how to actualize and authenticate their own life in order to come to this beautiful sort of destiny, because that's what it feels like. It feels like it's somebody's destiny here. Okay. I'm being told one more card, and I'm saying, oh, where are we going? Okay. One more card. I heard this is confirmation for somebody, so I'm going to pull this card. I may or may not talk about it. Okay. I will talk about it. Again, and I feel the very bottom. So someone here, you may feel like your very soul has transitioned to a new level. And in some ways, that's what's happening here. In order for us to become the kind of person that will shift humanity to a different timeline, we first have to get ourselves on the timeline or the trajectory to become that person. This is, in some ways, it's like that Lilith reading that I did. We have the soul here. We have this whole reflective space, and I do feel that's a space that somebody has been in. And then we have this transition. We're moving out of this heavy reflection, which I think you'll still carry that with you, but we're moving into our potential, right, by this egg, and growing something out of that potential. We're allowing that potential that we've been working on and that we've been uncovering, right, by peeling back the layers, and we're allowing that to finally grow here. I do feel that that's going to be important for somebody as well, so that might be confirmation for somebody. Okay, so I'm going to leave this reading here. If this resonated for you, please hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to check out the channel memberships or the Buy Me a Coffee links. And yeah, until next time.